We left off Daf Yomi on the days right on the top line. Masnisin Bleki Aitana. We thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day.
Amen.
It's Chassav learning. We should have the base of English immediately. Learning English. So we're going to Sparach Binyamin and Salam Shalom Yitzhak. So for Shlema, for up until Ben Sarah and Gedali gets for my father and Miriam Adel and Chaim Ben Sarah and Jimmy. Okay. Morning. Start like this. Masnisin like Yaitan. Our Mishnah doesn't fit with the following author, with the following Tana. We had that already before, where we said that it doesn't match with one of the Tanaim. The Mishnah is so big. Oh, thank you. But here we're talking about the Egla Rufa. We said that the Egla Rufa is a machlekes. If it's 3 judges or 5 judges, right? It's a machlekes Reb Shimon and Reb Yehuda. Yehuda said 5, Reb Shimon said 3. Well, anyways, now we have Masnisin L'Kei Tana. Our Mishnah doesn't fit with the following Tana. The Tana was taught in a brayso. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Eimer. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, "V'yatzu zekinecha v'sheiftecha." The elders, your elders and judges will go out. Now, this Rabbi Yehuda taught us meant that it's teaching us 5 because each of those was a plural. So, Zekinecha, according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, is the Sanhedrin. The elders is the Sanhedrin. Sheiftecha is umelech v'kayin gadol. Your judges is referring to a king and the kayin gadol. How did we get that? Well, the Gemara, the Brisa continues. It says melech. How do you know that melech is considered a judge? It says in the pasuk melech b'mishpat yamid haaretz, that the king stands in he establishes the earth in just judgment. In kayin gadol l'ksev basal kayin alavim v'ala sheifet. You'll come to the kayinim, the levim, and to the sheifet. I guess it means that the kayinim levim are the sheifet. And then if that's the case, then the kayin gadol is considered a judge. Well, our Mishnah doesn't mention anything about a kayin gadol and a melech when doing an egla rufa. So the Gemara says now, Ibaylahu. I had a question. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov b'chada pligi b'tarti pligi. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, he mentioned 2 things that our Mishnah didn't mention: the kayin gadol and the melech. But what about? We're putting that into one category. Those 2 people are one category. What about the Sanhedrin? He also mentioned the Sanhedrin. So the melech v'kayin gadol pligi aval b'Sanhedrin Reb Yehuda Reb Shimon. When Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says the Sanhedrin has to go, does he mean 3 of the Sanhedrin or 5 of the Sanhedrin, either following Reb Shimon's view or following the view of Reb Yehuda, 5? Or maybe he's arguing on another item here, and he's saying that you need the entire Sanhedrin to go to the place where the person was killed to do the Egla Rufa. Get all 71 judges out there. Be a big school bus with all the judges. Sanhedrin bus. Right? So, Rabbi Yosef. So it's unclear what Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov holds about the Sanhedrin. Rabbi Yosef says, Tashema. So we're going to prove it, what he holds. But you have to follow this through a little bit. It's not a proof immediately. What we're mentioning now is if there's a Zakin Mamre, an elder that disagrees with the Sanhedrin. Well, Matzan Abes Pagi Behimra Alayhim. If this one elder finds the rest of the Sanhedrin not in its place in the Lishkas Agazas, he finds them in a place called Beis Pagi, which is off the Beis Hamikdash mound, Temple Mount. but it's part of Yerushalayim. And what happens is, and he disagrees with them over there. He sees them all over there, and he starts telling them his opinion, and everyone disagrees. Let's say we say that rebellion is considered a rebellion. The pasuk says, you have to be on the place. Okay, this doesn't seem like it has anything to do with what we're talking about. We wanted to know if by an Egla Rufa, if the whole Sanhedrin has to go. So it says, the Nepa Kama, how many people were there on Beis Pagi that we're not going to consider this a rebellion? And if you say it was only partial, then maybe he rebelled against the Sanhedrin that were there. So there were 35 that were there. Maybe the other 35 agree with him. They're back at home. They're back in the Lishkas Hagazos. How do we know that he's the only one out? Then he's refusing. Maybe there's another 35 that are refusing. He's not considered a Zaken Mamre like that. El Pshita de Nafakula must mean that they're all in Beis Pagi, and he's arguing on all 71 judges. So Lamai, what are they doing in Beis Pagi? Do we say that they're just vacationing or something? Mimatzi Nafka, are they allowed to leave? But it says in the pasuk, Shirorich Hagana Soyar Al Yachzer Amazek. Shirorich means your belly button. Your navel is like a circular bowl, a round bowl. It's not lacking any wine. Now, this is a pasuk in Shir Shirim, which is a lot of imagery. But the Gemara says that it's referring to that the Sanhedrin, which sits in a circle, that's the Hagan Asayar, is the circular bowl, semicircle. They sit in a semicircle. Al Yachzer Amazik should not be missing a mazig, which is the way wine is diluted, which is 1/3. One part to 2 parts, right? Which is I guess 23, or more than 20 something. So
he first proved that it had to be that when this Mamre, it had to have been against all of them.
It has to be against all of them.
That's how he's playing.
Yeah, so they have to be all have left. And why did they leave? They weren't allowed to leave. They're not all allowed to leave. El Pshita bar mitzvah must mean that they left for a mitzvah.
So they all left the Harabais.
Now, what are they doing? What mitzvah? Echidami lavlam dida segla. They must have left because they were going to check
in Beis
Pagi. They were on their way out and they were in Beis Pagi, and so they met them over there. And they were on their way to measure the place of Egla Rufa. So Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, it must be the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, Darmakul Sanhedrin, that you need everyone. Yeah. So this is our proof that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is arguing also with Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda about how many people you need. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is a student of Rabbi Akiva. Are there 2 Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakovs? What's the other one? And who was he? Was he a student? When we quote Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, which one are we referring to? The first one or the second one? Yeah. Shalom has the book over here, the introduction to the Talmud. So he's giving me all the important information.
Public judgment say like a real thing.
Yeah, unless it's a capital punishment.
Yeah. And in this case, all the judges are not present. But like, let's say that there's enough, that it's the majority, would they be able to judge?
It depends if they needed all 71 or not. If they needed all 71, then no. Right?
Based on the ones that count are the ones that make the judgment.
We still need them all there. The other ones become nullified. Yeah. Okay, so that's our proof. Amalei Abaya. Abaya says that's a weak proof. This whole proof was because we're looking for a scenario where the Sanhedrin would all be leaving, and then we said the only scenario that you have is if they're going to measure the Egla Rufa, it must be Rebbe Ben Yaakov. Well, I have another scenario. It says they were going to do some other work. They were going to add on to the city of Yerushalayim, or they're going to add on to the Azara. It was taught in our Mishnah. If you want to enlarge the city or you want to enlarge the Azara, you need the judges of 71 judges. So the whole proof was just you're looking for a scenario, a circumstance where that's going to happen. There's other circumstances that's going to happen. And now you don't have the proof. Then Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov really holds that. Tanya, however, Tanya Kavasei de Rabbi Yosef. We do have a brisa that does support Rabbi Yosef. It says like this: Matzana beis pagi v'himra leim kigoyin sheyotzlim didas eglo lahaysev alayir v'alazaris yachal shetei amras emra. In this brisa, it says that if this Zakin Mamre, this rebellious elder, he finds them on beis pagi.
So is he part of the Sanhedrin?
Yeah.
So it's 71. So it's
70,
really 70.
70,
So I'm just
70.
trying to get the number.
Yeah.
But the Mamre don't use
And he refuses to accept, right?
So then they replace him because they need 71 to do.
I'm not
Like
sure.
if they're going to, if you need the whole Sanhedrin there, and now he's a vote that doesn't count.
Right.
Did they have to?
But what
Wasn't
happens
there a
is,
whole process to get you?
yeah,
To the Sanhedrin? So, okay, you're out. Hey,
no, they had rows, and the next person in the row would go sit in. They had rows
that
of
was in the
students.
Sanhedrin. The one
Yeah.
with up were outside. There were others sitting around.
There was
72,
60
70.
No, there were 69 of the students that would sit here.
On those
And if
rows?
they need somebody to
They
go
were-
in, they move up.
Yeah, but what happens beyond the 70? Well, one of the 71.
Uh-huh.
Chas v'shalom dies. No.
That's
Now
what
what?
it says.
So they
One of
move
the
in.
students moved
They
in.
move in the next
What?
one.
That's what you were talking at dinner last night.
They move up the next one in the amongst the students. Gets moved out.
Outside of the 70.
Yeah. And now, so here, Yachal Shetem Rasim right here in this price it says that the Sanhedrin left for what were they doing in Beis Pagi? They went to measure the city for the Egla Rufa, for the calf, which means that it says clearly that the whole Sanhedrin went. And it also adds in that it could be also for the extend the city or the Azara.
But they could have now been leaving for 2 weeks. They were going to the Galil Elyon.
Right,
It's not a
right,
1 hour excursion.
right.
Wow.
Is this or is this after base party?
Yeah. Why do we say Beis Pagi? Why specific? Yeah. It's considered Yerushalayim, and nevertheless it's not good enough. I think that's the Chiddush. Even though it's part of Yerushalayim, it's still not good enough.
Or is it the one allowed to?
We were talking about what their snack they were having.
No, down here it said like it
On
was
the
like
Sanhedrin
so
dies.
much considered Jerusalem. I think it was like.
Oh, that's what you mean. Oh, Beis Pagi was still considered Jerusalem, that you could eat the Meiser Sheni there. Okay, it's saying that it was part of Jerusalem. Okay. So Talmud Leima, the pasuk says that even that's not good enough. It has to be in the place itself. Okay. That you were talking about what snack the Sanhedrin was eating while they were out. Okay. Not the Revai, Meiser Sheni, Shein Dama V'Yiduim B'Shleisha. Okay, the next thing that we mentioned is that when you're coming to redeem the Neta Revai, the fruits of the fourth year, or Meiser Sheni, which is the second tithe, which had to be eaten in Jerusalem. Now instead of bringing it, you have to redeem it. And you don't know how much it's worth. So then you need 3 people to help you with that estimation. 3 judges. How would you have Meiser Sheni that you don't know what it's worth? Gemara explains, Perishir Kivu started to rot. The Yayin Shehikrim. Or you have wine that's spoiling. Yeah, back then they didn't have labels on the wine to tell you what it cost originally. They just had a barrel of wine, and then you had to get an expert to tell you what that wine cost and now what it's what you were supposed to redeem it for. Could be you even had money to could be even had money that started to oxidize. Was taught in the Bryce, Meiser Sheni, Shein Dam, if you do and pay the Meiser Bishleisha Lakuchas. If you have Meiser Sheni that you don't know its value, so you have to redeem it with 3 purchasers. Now, these purchasers are expert buyers and they know what it costs, right? This is I would assume that this is the women that know how to when they shop, like this price, that price, which store is cheaper. But you can't use 3 people that aren't purchasers. You can even use a non-Jew. He's going to tell you what he would pay for it. And even if one of them is actually the owner, if he's an expert, he can also say his opinion what it is. Rabbi Yirmiyah says, let's say you have 3 people, but all of them eat from the same bank account. What's the din? They're all 3 purchasers, but they all buy together. Tashemasa, come and listen. A man and his 2 wives can redeem Meiser Sheni. That's considered the 3 people, even though the value is not known. So that means you can use people from the same account. Gemara says, Dilma, perhaps that's not considered 3 people. Maybe Rav Papa Bas Abasuria, maybe it's Rav Papa and his wife, the daughter of Abasura, who happened to be independently wealthy. And she actually had her own account. And she didn't live off his money. She didn't need his money. They must have had a prenuptial agreement of some sort that she uses her own bank account. That's all that says. This is a Gemara in Subas. Okay. So what does this leave us with? It means that we don't have an answer to that question, but nevertheless, it could be other people that are able to. It doesn't need to be professional, or like Dayanim Mumchim. It could even be other people. 3 judges here could be other people that are telling us who they are. It could even be women. It could be non-Jews that would tell us how to redeem this money, this Meiser Sheni or Neter Ravai. That's interesting. That Shleisha that we started off with Shleisha that there's 3 people. We said that doesn't mean experts. And then we went to Gezelis and Chabalas, and that doesn't mean experts. And now we come down to Shleisha, and then we don't, not only doesn't need experts, it doesn't even need to be Jewish people or men. It's interesting. Hekdesh B'Shleisha. Okay, redeeming Hekdesh, you need 3 people.
Must you read us.
You read us Ashures.
Yeah.
The Mishnah. So you need 3 people to redeem Hekdesh. Masnisan like Tana. Our Mishnah doesn't follow the following Tana. The Tanya was started in Bryce. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov Aimer. Again, Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov. Probably the same one, right? It says Filu Tzinura Shel Hekdesh Tzricha Serban Adam L'Ftay. So what we said is that you need 3 people for if it's metaltlan. We said if it's karka, you need 10. Now we're quoting an opinion of Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov that holds that even if it's a fork, you need to have 10 people to redeem it. You need 10 people to redeem it, even if it's metaltlan. We said in our Mishnah you only need 3 people if it's personality. And Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov says you need 10. Amalei Rav Papa la Abaya. Papa says that Abaya is the student of Abaya. He says Bishlam Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov Damrik Yishmol. Abaya is a student of Rabbi Yosef. Rav Papa is a student of Abaya.
Jeremy is a colleague.
Who?
Jeremy is a colleague.
Yirmiyah is a colleague of Rabbi Yosef. Good. Okay. So, It says, because Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov goes like Shmuel, Damar Shmuel, Asara Kainim Ksuvim Beparsha. Okay, what happens over here is that if you look through the Chumash at the end of Parshas Bechukaisai, so you have three laws over there. You have the laws of Erechin, which is if someone pledges a person's value based on his age and gender to the Beis Hamikdash. Then you have the laws of someone that's makdish an animal, whether it's a kosher animal or a not kosher animal, in the redemption of it. Then you have the laws of someone that's makdish, he consecrates his house or his field. So you have those three laws. Now, in those three laws, you have, it says that you bring it to the Kohen and you evaluate it, and you bring it to the Kohen, and then it says 10 times the word Kohen. 3 by the Erechin, when someone pledges a person's value. 3 by when someone's makdish an animal, and 4 by the house and field. It says the word Kohen. Now Shmuel says, oh, 3, 3, 4, that's 10. That means that you need 10 people to redeem the to redeem property. Now, 1 second. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov holds like Shmuel, Damar Shmuel, Asar Kain Ksuvim Beparsha. So he's using all 10 for that redemption. He has it. It's perfect. El Rabbanan Shleishim Minalu. But where the rabbis get 3 from? This is Rav Papa telling Abaya that he likes Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov's opinion better because it's more consistent. It matches with the 10 times it says the word Kohen in the Parsha. And where did the Rabbanan get the 3 from? So let's say they got the 3 because one of those sections was redemption of an animal. It says 3 times the word Kohen. So it says if that's the case, then karkois tiksib boarba tiski barba. If you're good enough with 3 for each item, then what about the karka, which is 4? And they don't say that it's 4, they say it's 10. We'll say, okay, alama tanan karkois tishavakayan. Why does it say in the Mishnah that you need 10 people, 9 plus a kohen? Elamai, what we have to say, the Mishalmi Buasara, because since that's the final law in Parshas Bechukaisai, is about the karka, is about the land. So I had 3 plus another 3 plus 4, which totals 10. Hekdesha, okay, so then that's why when it comes to redemption of karka, I need 10. Says 1 second. Hekdesha is when it comes to redeeming the animal, the Mishalmi Bushita, that's already 6. Liboishita, then I should need 6. If it's cumulative, what is it called? When it's adding up, each one, it's plus
Cumulative.
Cumulative. If it's cumulative, cumulative. So, good. Cumulative. So then, if that's how we got 10, because it's cumulative, 3 plus 3 plus 4, and that was the last one, so that's 10. This 1 second. So then when it comes to the animal, the number should be 6, because it's 3 plus 3. The first one was the value of a person. The second one was the value of the animal. So we're holding by 6. So why did we say you only need 3? It says kasha. We don't have an answer to that. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is more consistent than the Rabbanan. They say 10 and 3.
The question Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov now, or on the Chacham?
On our Mishnah. On the Rabbanan of our Mishnah.
You know, it seems like this is different from the other countings we've had of deciders in the past, because the method of determining, there was always a debate, should you use the first one for the thing itself, or does it count as a number?
Right.
And here, there's no discussion about that. But also, we end up with an even number.
Right. We didn't get into that yet. Yeah. Wait to the next page, because we just quoted Shmuel in passing. On the next page, we're going to get into what Shmuel really said.
Okay. Thank you.
Erechin, it says Erechin. And then it says Erechin HaMetalklin. That means that the Erech means a value. The movable value. It says you need 3 judges. And Rabbi Yehuda says one of them needs to be a kohen. Karkois is 9 in a kohen. And then we say, and a person is similar to that. Okay, now, The Gemara asks right away, "My erechin hametaltlan." What do you mean movable value? Amar Rav Gidl Amar Rav. Rav Gidl says in the name of Rav, that's a student of Rav. Yeah, Shalom, Rav Gidl, it's a student of Rav. Yes, it's fact. It says so in the Gemara. The comment, the famous students of Rav is Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, Rav Gidl Amar Rav, and Rav Huna Amar Rav. Those are the main students of Rav. We're talking about that someone says the value of this vessel is upon me, and now he wants to redeem it. You want to redeem it? Rav Gidl Amar Rav. Rav Gidl says in the name of Rav that nice and dumb. You have to pay the value of it, and then you pay the value, and then the item is usable. Right. My timer. What's the reason? A person knows that there's no erechin is only the value of a person. If you want to say the value, then you say damav, its value. But erech is a specific word that's used just for giving the value of a person based on his age and his gender. So, but the reason is that a person knows that word is not the proper word. The Amar L'Shem Damim, and he meant.
Don't they both?
Yeah. So he must have meant what it would mean, how it would make sense. So that's why he would never say something in vain, entirely in vain. So it must mean that he wanted to say damav, and he was using the wrong term, but he meant damav. He meant its value. So he wouldn't say something in vain.
Well, with an error, a different amount.
But that doesn't work by anything other than a human. So we're saying it just means its regular value. Usually erech has that, like based on the age, and that, remember that the women decrease less than the men. Well, the Gemara now says, if that's the case, then hai erechin hametaltalin, what does it mean? Movable value. It should be erechin shel metaltalin. It should be the value of movables. Mibaile, it should have said. It's not movable value. It's the value of movables. It says Tini erechin shel metaltalin. That's an easy fix. Little whiteout, some more ink. And we say it's referring to the value of movables. Okay, that's Rav Gidl. Rav Chizda, Amar Avimi, Rav Chizda says the name of Avimi, the matfis metaltalin le'erchen. Talking about where a person, he actually used the word erchen properly. He said, I'm giving my value or someone's value to the Beis HaMikdash. And then instead of paying cash, he used an item to pay for it. Now he wants to redeem that item. The Gemara says now he wants to redeem that item, so it's the value of this item. So it's a movable. Let's see what it says. The Gemara says, "Hi erechin hametaltalin." What are you saying? This is movable value. This is metaltalin shel erechin. This is movable of value. This personality of value. That's being paid.
Metaltalin was the currency.
Metaltalin is the currency. That's right. So the Gemara says, okay, we can fix that also. Tani metaltalin shel erechin. We'll say the personality, that's the currency of the value. Okay. So both of those are on redemptions of erechin. Rabavo says, we're talking about where a person said, I'm going to give my value to the Beis HaMikdash. The kain comes to collect. Metaltalin, if he comes to collect personality, then b'shleisha, then he can collect it with 3 people. Karkais, if he's collecting property, pay for his value, then he needs 10 people. Amalei Rav Acha Midifti Ravina. Rav Acha Midifti says to Ravina, we have 3 pshatim over here. We have Rav Gidl that said that he used the term erech for a vessel. We had Rav Chizda that says that he used the term erech properly, but he's paying it with the vessel. And then we have Rabavo that says that he used the word erech properly and he's paying it right now. They're not coming to redeem what he paid already. Okay. Well, Rav Achim says when you're trying to remove from hektish because something was already hektish, then you need 3 people to remove it out of hektish. But if someone's gifting something to hektish, why do you need 3 people?
Only the redeeming.
You need to take it out. The Gemara says, 1 second. Says it's logical that if to bring it into hektish, what's the difference bringing it in or taking it out? You need 3 people. You need 3 people. It says afuki my time. Why when you take it out you need 3 people? Dilmatai. Maybe you'll make a mistake in its value. You need 3 people to evaluate it. So yulinami dilmatai. The fact is he owes a certain amount of money, and he's using this as a payment. So you should need 3 people to make sure that it covers the amount that he pledged. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda says that you need kayan. One of them needs to be a kayan. Amalei Rav Papa Abaya. Again, Rav Papa says to Abaya, "Is teacher Bishlam the Rabbi Yehuda diksiv kayan? Elul Rabbanan kayan lamalu." According to the Rabbanan, that don't mention the word, mention that you need a kayan. So why does it say kayan? It says kasha. We don't have an answer for that. Akarkayis tishav kayan. Everyone agrees when it comes to the property, you need 9 people plus a kayan. How do you know this? Amar Shmuel. Now we have the Shmuel that we mentioned before that said that it says 10 times kayan. Asara kayanim ksuvim beparsha. It says 10 times kayan in the parsha. So we said that you only need 9 plus 1 kayan. How do you get 10? 10 it says 10 kayanim, and we say you don't even need 2 kayanim. You only need 1 kayan. So it says chad legufei. Explains it like this. One of them is necessary to tell me that you need a kayan. Hanach. The rest of them have imiyat acharmiyat. Once you said kayan once, then why are you saying kayan again? Every time you're saying kayan again, I'm subtracting 1 kayan. So you have, it says another 9 kayanim. It means that you don't need 9. You don't need all of those 9. You only need 1. A double negative, sometimes a double negative is coming to as a positive. Yeah. Is that correct? It's only sometimes? I don't think so. Because if I do -1 plus -1, it's -2, right?
No, it happens when you multiply.
Oh, so it's only in multiplication. Okay, so sometimes a negative and another negative, it becomes a positive. It's not always so.
This here reminded me of the judges. And judges was plural, and coin is just singular.
Okay.
Maybe if it wanted multiple coins, it could just say coin.
Oh, it's interesting. It was saying that if it wanted multiple kayanim, it could have said kayanim, like it did by the judges. And that would give me plurals. But here it's not doing that. Here it's just saying kayan. So it's coming to, okay, anyway, the Gemara has a very interesting question now. The Gemara says, I feel test Yisrael. Okay, Ve'achad kayan. Maskeflo Rav Huna Breder Rav Nassan. Rav Huna, Rav Nassan's son, asks the following question. Whenever you have a double negative, so then when you get to the third one, you're back at the positive. So now you're back positive. So what you're really left with is 5 positive and 5 negatives. Because each one is back positive. So you should have 5 kayanim and 5 Yisraelim. Once it said kayan once. Okay, so I know we need a kayan. The second one, that's too much. You don't need a kayan. The third one, back has a kayan. So it's basically out of 10, you're going to have 5 yes and 5 no.
In electricity, this would be a mess. Although first, also would bring positive is positive, negative is negative.
It's that,
Circuit.
what's the electricity that goes back and forth? What's the?
Current?
Alternate, it's alternate.
That's not how the cars are there.
Okay. Well, Adam creates a bem, and we say that a man is similar. Adam mi kadosh. We say, what do you mean a man is similar? Can you consecrate a person? Can someone say, I'm making this person hektish? Amar Rabavo says by Medmei Alai. Sorry?
So that's one way to get rid of some.
Oh yeah. Dami Alai. My value is upon me. I'm gonna have to pay my value to the base of English. The Tanya was taught in a brisa. If someone says, my value is upon me to pay, we have to evaluate him. He's not saying, if he says erechin, it's different. But if it just says my value, so how do we know his value? So we have to evaluate him what he would be as a slave in the market. And since a slave is compared to property when it comes to taking oaths. Yeah, dummy is how much he's sold as a slave, and erechin is based on his age and gender.
So would the slave also take into account their age?
Yeah,
their gender?
yeah, but it's not a set price. You could have two slaves the same age, and each one is a different price.
So everything is a set amount.
Set amount, yeah. Whoops. Sorry. Okay. So now, since we said a slave is compared to property when it comes to taking an oath, that tells us now that that you need 10 people to redeem it, just like property. It's for other things also. So if a person says that he's giving his value to the base of English, you're going to need 10 people there to evaluate what he's worth as a slave. Ravavin has a question. Let's say there's hair on him, and it's the hair, he needs a haircut, but they can cut off that hair and can use it for shaitels. Yeah. So is that considered part of him where you would need 10 people to evaluate it, or is it considered removed and you only need 3 people because it's not part of him?
Yeah.
Good question. B'shleisha. Is it kagazas dami b'shleisha? Is it considered like it's shorn? When I teach this the students in yeshiva, how do you know that gazes means to shear the hair? So I tell them because gazes is this makes the sound of the machine. Gazes.
Oh wow.
Okay. There's some things I think they'll remember. So that takes. Is it shorn already? Is it considered like shorn? It's 3 people. Like in mechuber dami basar, is it considered attached? And it takes 10 people because it's attached to a person. The person is compared to property. Well, Tashma. Come and listen. Someone consecrates his slave. So the rule is that a slave is considered like property, and property doesn't have me'ila. There's no me'ila on property. However, what about the hair? So it says like this: Ein ma'ilim bay. There's no me'ila even in his hair. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel says ma'ilim b'sari. There is me'ila in his hair, not in him, but in his hair there is.
While he's on him or after?
It's the kaimalan, and we've established that what that rice is talking about is the besare ha'imid ligazes plige. Talking about that the hair is on him, but he's ready for a haircut. He needs a haircut. So Shmamina, we see from this that this is a machlekes. This shaila that Rav Avin had is actually a machlekes between Rav Shimon ben Gamliel and Rav Banan. If hair that's on him is considered detached, according to Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, it's considered detached. It's not considered part of him. Therefore, there's meila.
So why when he's a nazar?
I'm sorry.
Happens if he's a
He's a nazir.
Does that so?
Yeah.
Because I was reading through the commentary. So what if he's a nazar?
Hmm.
On Shabbos, the hair is not considered detached. We're not allowed to brush.
It's not considered detached. That's the prohibition, is that you're not allowed to remove it
Mhm.
on Shabbos. That's a prohibition. Since it's considered, since you're going to remove it, right? Because it's ready to be removed.
Mhm.
So we should consider its value as something that's already removed. Similar to fruits that are fully grown. Sometimes when fruits are fully grown, remember when they were damaged, we said fully grown fruits are not considered property, they're judged as fruits.
The professor has a demonstrative aid.
Oh wow,
Oh, beautiful. Star
Do you
fruit.
want to give us pros?
What's that? Is it star fruit?
it's from your tree? The professor brought in a fruit.
Demonstrate this.
Yeah. Star fruit.
He just pulled out of his.
Oh wow, that's good.
Delicious. Good.
Say a
That's good
bracha on
eating.
You want to smell it? You say a bracha. Nice and reich tev b'peres.
Right?
Oh, wow.
Oh,
It is good.
right back on the motion.
What variety is that?
Wow.
The Weisskopf. It's the Weisskopf variety.
Non-organic.
Non-organic.
Tons of GMOs.
It's fertilized with moringa flowers,
And coffee.
Coffee grounds.
Don't forget the
and the coffee grinds from the shoulder. Nice. Okay,
This match.
so we have a machlekes over here. That's totally grown. Now the Gemara says, "Nema hanika tanoi kani tanoi." Let's say that this is also another machlekes. And it was taught in the Mishnah. There's certain things that are like property, but they're not like property. And the Chacham agreed to him. Ketzad, what would be an example of this? Asara gafanim to a nice masartilach. He says, I have given you 10 vines that are laden with fruit. The other person says, no, there's only 5. Now, is that considered property when he's talking about the fruits on this? Because if it's property, you can't take an oath. If it's not property, you can't take an oath because he's made of b'miktzas. He's admitting partially, admitting that he owes 5, but not the other. Now, is that considered?
Then he has to pay
If it's property, then he can't take an oath. There's inishban al karkais. Then he would have to pay the whole thing automatically, or the opposite. Maybe he doesn't have to pay. Yeah.
Why don't they consider it detached? Anyways, they're going to be detached.
Oh, so let's take a look. Rameir Mechayev, Rameir considers it detached, which is the opinion of Reb Shimon ben Gamliel before, right? The Chacham say, fact is, it's not detached yet. It's not detached. It's not detached. It's considered property. And that's why we had a machlekes there. So here that machlekes there is the same machlekes here. Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina explains, we were talking about Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina is a student of Rabbi Yochanan. We're talking about that it's grapes that are ready to be harvested. Marsa, but Rabbi would hold kibitzuris damim, that it's considered like it's harvested. Marsa, but the Chum say love kibitzuris damim, it's not considered harvested, and therefore it's considered attached to the ground. The Gemara says like it's not necessarily the same machlekes. I feel Tamer Reb Meir. Reb Meir could go like both opinions here. Adkan like Reb Meir Hasam. Why did Reb Meir say over here when it was talking about fruits? I'm sorry. But Reb Meir was talking about. Well, yeah, when Reb Meir was talking about fruits, it says Kol Kama the Shav if you leave it on, it's going to get ruined. Once it's ready to be picked, you have to pick it. Aval Sarah, I'm not sure what it means, but it's going to be ruined. Does it mean the fruits are going to get ruined? Or does it mean the property is going to get ruined? Probably the fruits. Aval Sarah, when it comes to the hair, Kol Kama the Shav lehu ashpuchim ashpach. If you let it grow, it's just going to grow longer. It doesn't get ruined if it grows more. It'll be better shaitel. So Reb Meir that says that it's considered removed over there doesn't necessarily hold it's considered removed by the hair. Okay. Din nefasha is, let's go, yeah. What's the problem?
They had here that once the grapes no longer receive nourishment when you find it.
According to Reb Meir. Right. Yeah.
Here it has.
Yeah, but the Gemara says that that's machlekes Reb Meir and the Chacham. Okay, din nefasha schulu. When it comes to capital punishment, So now it talks about Reva is an animal and a human that have relations. That says that you need 23 judges. Kapasik Vitani. The Gemara was brief and taught without getting into the details. Leishna Reva Zacha, Leishna Reva Nekeva. We didn't make a difference if it was a male or a female that the male animal was living with. Bishlam Reva Nekeva. If it's a female that the male animal is living with. It says that you killed the woman and the animal. So okay, capital punishment, both for the woman, and the same thing would apply to the animals. But where does it say that there's capital punishment on a man? It says anyone that lives with an animal is put to death. Now that would assume that it would be a male with a female animal, right? But since I don't need it for someone that's living with the animal, because I have another pasuk that says Isha she'itin shchavtai, we have a clear pasuk for that. So kol shechav mehema is coming to tell me a male another male animal is living with him, a human male. And it says it in a way of kol shechav, anyone that lays with an animal, and to teach me that we're coming to do a comparison between someone that lays with an animal and someone that an animal lays with. Just like someone that lays with an animal, him and his animal are 23 judges. Also, if the animal lays with him, you need 23 judges. Okay, so we got out of this that it doesn't matter which way this is headed. It's going to be 23 judges. When it comes to an ox that needs to be put to death, 23 judges. It says in the pasuk, I'll show you the way an ox is put to death, so too is the owner. You need 23 judges, even though you don't, just like an owner would be put to death, that's how the ox also needs to be put to death. Now the owner's not actually put to death because it's only his animal. Amalei Abaya Rava, Abaya says, how do you know it says that the owner, this is a strange, the pasuk says the owner's put to death. The Gemara tells us it doesn't mean he's put to death, it means that he makes a monetary payment. But the Abai asks Rava, how do you know that V'gambal of Yumas is coming to teach me that you need 23 judges to put the animal to death, but you don't actually put the owner to death? Maybe it's literal. That's just like an owner would be put to death. So to the ox is Hudasa, that's what's coming to teach you. Maybe it's coming to tell me that actually the owner's put to death. The Gemara says, Why does it have to say Yumas? Just say, I'll show you Sakal, Gambala, and also the owner. And also you kill the owner. Why do you have to say Yumas? You already said, you don't have to keep repeating that. It says, if the Pasuk would have, if the Eberster would have wrote that, Havamina Beskila, I would have thought that you put the animal with stoning, I would have thought that you put the owner to death with stoning also. So it has to say, you must to teach me that it's not skila, it would be the sayah. The Gemara says, skila salkadaitach, he really thought that we would be put him to death with skila. Kataliyo, if he would kill himself, besayif, he would get just with the sword put to death, if he'd be a murderer. But if his animal kills, now we put him to death with skila, which is much more severe. He gets a bigger punishment when his animal kills than if he would have been a murderer himself. The Gemara says, maybe it's actually doing the opposite. Maybe it's saying that I would have thought that he would get chenek. I'm sorry, that he would have gotten sayif. And we're taking it down to chenek, which is a lower level. Chenek is strangulation. Now, the Gemara says, well, I can answer this problem by saying that chenek is not less. Chenek is more strict. And then you're going to give him something more strict. When he kills, you give him by the sword. And it says, Ela lamanda mer chenek kill, but according to the one that says that chenek is less, what can you say for this? You'll say that maybe it actually means that he's put to death. The Gemara says, you can't think like this. It says that if you put a penalty on him, and if we would say that he's being put to death. It says you don't put a penalty on someone that's being put to death. So we know that there's a fine that he has to pay, and obviously he's not put to death. It says Adarabba. Maybe on the contrary, maybe Mishum he gufa katal iyo like this katal shayre lifting nafshem mina. Maybe if he kills, he gets killed. There's no way of getting himself free by paying money. But if his animal kills, then if he pays the money, he gets off. If he doesn't pay the money, then he gets killed. He has a way out. That says that the murderer is put to death. He doesn't get put to death if his animal is only on his own murder, but not if his animal kills. Let's leave it over there. Okay.
David's,
Oh, yeah.